So I will have office hours today. As you can see, I've lost my entire regular set of keys. It's somewhere in my house. It's a mad dash to try to find them. It explains the time. But I'm here, and the secretary, I'm sure, will let me in. What can I say? I'm only human. At least I wasn't looking for my glasses, and they were on top of my head. The test, though, it has been written. I finished that over the weekend. You will, again, have from March 2nd at 12:01 a.m. until March 9th at 11:59 to take the test. You will have 150 minutes to take the test, which is double time. All right? So nobody needs to schedule an appointment in the testing center or anything like that. You have more than enough time to take it. All right? I don't know why you all care about this so much. There are 46 questions. All right?
That was going to be my question.
There are 100 points total. Most of the test focuses on federalism. All right, most of it focuses on federalism. There are multiple choice, multiple answer, true, false. There are also some short answer questions. The short answer questions come from a certain document that most of you have been reluctant to turn in. Just saying. You got it today? Do you have a copy for yourself, all of you? Because I'm not going to get it back. I can't get it back to you in time.
I got it online.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I have mine in Google Docs.
All right, well, good. Then you'll need it in Google Docs or wherever you have it. But you'll need a copy for yourself because you'll probably get these back next Monday. I gave you 1 point per definition and 3 points per short answer question, which added up to 50 points. So this is something you might want to turn in. Just saying. And you, student who is missing and who I'm making these recordings for, can get this from me when you return, because I don't have it online, and I might have saved it, but anyway, I'll figure that out later. Yeah, so short answer. There are also essay questions that may or may not come from the same document that you've all been reluctant to turn in. May or may not. Like, here's a question. How would you characterize federalism today? Should policymakers be willing to shift their view of federalism according to an issue or crisis at hand? Why or why not? Now that may or may not have appeared on a document that most of you have been reluctant to turn in again. But,
I haven't been here, Parker. I'm not reluctant.
what'd you say?
I haven't been here, Parker. I'm not reluctant.
Well, the people who have been here have been reluctant to turn it in. Other than that, there's a big old matching section. You know, who's the governor, who's the treasurer, who's all that. Does anybody have any questions, particularly about the test?
Any all information is covered on the slides, right? That's what I get it.
The study guide, it all kind of blended into each other.
Yeah.
I noticed as I was writing, it all, the stuff about federalism did appear on the Illinois Constitution slides, did appear on the study guide, So it all kind of blends into each other, to be quite honest, Damien. I took less from the study guide than I was anticipating doing, but the stuff from the study guide was lifted directly from the study guide, so you should have no problem with that. I would think. Mr. Rosado.
Could I use any of the same like answers from like for the essay questions, because it is like how I see things?
I will say this, I did not keep a copy of your study guide, and I have no control over what you do at home.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. Anything else? No? It is nice to see your faces. All right.
It's nice weather too. It's like we just flipped a switch in Illinois. Everything's back to good.
Yeah.
The depression might be over.
Yeah, right.
The depression.
Roads are still crap.
Just wait. The seasonal depression's gone. We're just back to regular depression now.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, so that will open on Wednesday. All right. Where'd your class go? All right.
Is there somewhere you want us to put this?
Yeah, just up there. If you staple it, that would be very, very nice.
I stapled it already.
Okay, great. A lot of you do not staple these things.
That's sad.
My stapler exploded. As I was going to replace the staples, it all just died. So
Someone stole my stapler. That happened. That's happened 3 times now.
Apparently they're hard to come by. So
You don't want the original study guide back.
Actually, yes, I'll take it because I'll upload it on my scanner and put it online for our missing classmate, so he has a leg up for Wednesday. That's what I'll do.
So I'm not gonna staple this one.
Yeah. But if you could just leave your copy, that would be awfully nice of you.
Oh, I suppose.
All right. Thank you. All right, so we talked about distribution of power, talked about limits on government power, dual constitutionalism. It'd be helpful if you could see it.
Yeah,
we'll just trust.
we'll trust you. We'll just trust him.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you benefit at least from the class recordings?
Yeah, absolutely. That helped me a lot of knowing what the hell the test was going to be. Like, I went into watching those videos like, I sure hope I didn't just miss an exam and they didn't tell me. And then first thing in the first videos, you explained the exam, so that definitely helped.
Okay.
I swear we did not miss an exam.
No. Somebody in my American government class thought they did. It wasn't Rob, I'll tell you that.
I thought I did. So is that next week open?
March 8th.
Okay.
Mr. Broadhead.
Before you get started, I might distract. Looking at this, just your opinion, do you think it's better for states kind of in a federalist system, so like
We had a conference with the Vice President of Academic Affairs. I even mentioned this. Nothing.
faulty equipment?
Well, that my computer keeps falling over. We'll look at it. Okay.
They can't pay you enough. They're definitely not going to care about the equipment you use.
It is aggravating. It really is. But continue.
Obviously, a lot of these states have been states for hundreds of years. Do you think it's better for them to stick to their original constitution or update it as time goes on?
And just, you asked for my opinion, and I'm giving you my opinion on the matter.
Right.
Not teaching it as fact. I don't want any of that on the teacher exam evaluations at the end of the semester. I think it's actually better in states, with the states, for them to update their constitutions as time goes by. I think the states can afford to take a more liberal approach to their framework, and they don't have to stick to it. You know, it's a lot easier to change how a state works than the entire country. I don't happen to think there's anything wrong with our federal constitution, which is why I'd say, no, we stick with the federal constitution that we've got, but if states want to change it, then yeah, why not?
I have that thought. Like, it's harder to change policies for an entire nation when it's going to affect everybody differently.
Yeah,
But states can adjust things on a regional basis.
absolutely, yeah. So no, it's fine. You know, Georgia has had 10 constitutions. You know, Louisiana 11. Yeah, great.
Most red states seem to be taking a pretty liberal approach.
Yeah. So why not? We did this. We got through the number of amendments, legislative proposals. This might be a question. In Illinois, members of each house must approve the proposed amendment by a vote of 3/5. May be a question. Maybe a question there, Peterson. Are you just going to remember it? Okay. Yes.
Could the citizens of the state propose a constitutional amendment through like getting it on the ballot as a referendum without the legislature?
Ah, I'm glad you asked that. Yep.
Nice.
Citizens of Illinois can propose by petition or written request to change or amend Article 4. So if 8% of those who voted in the last election for governor sign a petition, the voters can propose an amendment to change the structure and procedures of the General Assembly. And they can also change other things through certain rules. They're called ballot initiatives.
All right, please hold. I go start an amendment to abolish the Senate.
I was going to say, I feel like that 8% rule was started way back when Illinois was not this populated. I feel like it's much more difficult to get accurate, valid signatures on a petition, at least to the 8% rule.
Oh, it's purposely made to be difficult.
Yeah. I guess you don't want to have a bunch of people going around putting amendments on the ballot for every election ever.
You should have to work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd sign that petition though. Abolish the Senate.
So, yeah, if they get 8%, if the proposal, if they have the exact wording and, come up with the date of the general election when the voters get to vote on the proposed amendment, voters have to sign the petition, must do so not more than 24 months before the proposed amendment is to be voted on. And the petition must be submitted to good old Jesse White, the Democrat, not the Libertarian, at least 6 months before that election. So a law shall set up the procedure for validating, checking the petition and the signatures that are on it. So if everything's in good order, the amendment's placed on the ballot. Approval, again, requires a 3/5 majority of those voting, or a majority of those voting It's been quite a morning. Approval requires 3/5 of those voting on the proposal or a majority of those voting in the election. On we go. Here we go. Ballot initiatives. Might ask you about that. The process through which voters convey instructions to the legislature, approve a law, or amend the Constitution. Referendums. Procedures that allow the electorate to accept or reject a law passed by the legislature. 18 states give voters the opportunity to propose these amendments.
What determines if legislation is up for, a referendum? Is it every single act, or is it certain?
That's a good question.
Because there are a wide variety of things I would like to have going on in the last election.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, let's say the legislature passes a law, can the people say, wait, no, and put it on the ballot?
I would like to think it's based on a percentage of passing votes. Like if you pass with 50% plus one, it goes to a referendum. If you pass with a 3/5 majority,
It does. Because in Switzerland, the voters can say, wait, hold up, we don't like this, and put it on the ballot. The law gets suspended, and it gets put on the ballot. Which is a nice form of direct democracy.
right. So, that's another thing. instead of it just being like based off of a percentage of votes that passed, also put on there by a petition, except it's based off of current law, not one that citizens want to enact. So,
Right.
I don't know.
And then it has to be a majority voted on by a majority of both the cantons, which is, remember, Switzerland is a confederation of cantons, and a majority of the people.
So a legislatively referred state statute is a statute that appears on a state's ballot as a ballot measure because the state legislature in that state voted to put it before the voters. So there's a vote. And this is the same thing as a referendum. So they vote and say, let's put this before the voters. If that passes, then it gets on our ballot.
That is a very useful tool to get around filibusters or not having a majority.
Or just making a decision.
Yeah, just like, I can see so many controversial laws being put to the voters.
Yeah, yeah.
I would feel much more comfortable knowing, like, I feel more comfortable knowing that even though we didn't pass that proportional tax law this last time, I'm more okay with it because we all voted on it as Illinois citizens rather than just a group of like a couple hundred people.
Well, they
over
had to,
in Springfield.
because it was a constitutional amendment, they had to send it to us.
Right, I know, but like for controversial laws like that, I feel a lot more comfortable that like even if we choose something I disagree with, I'm more okay with the fact that we at least got the opportunity to vote on it as the citizens for
Sure.
direct voting rather than just have some representative decide for us.
Absolutely.
So,
I'd probably, if I was elected, probably send a lot of votes to the people.
Yeah.
Or at least try to send more controversial bills to the legislature.
at least ones without precedent.
Right.
Like if I knew that there was a law that we had already enacted previously and we were altering that law drastically, I wouldn't bother sending it to the people.
Now, how do you protect minority rights in that instance if we are practicing direct democracy?
What do you mean?
Well, you and I are minorities. Right? You're a member of the Green Party, I'm a member of the Libertarian Party.
Sure.
We're political minorities. Very few people agree with
Well,
what we stand for.
agree with a lot of places, values of the Greens, like marijuana legalization. You saw conservative states even pass it, raising the minimum wage. Maybe not as high as the Greens want, but definitely increasing it.
Yeah.
And what do you attribute that to?
That we are, I think a lot of people are cautious with money, but want more liberal ideals. You know, they don't want reckless spending.
You don't attribute this to anything the Green Party does?
What do you mean?
You guys don't go out campaigning?
Well, I mean, we do, but we generally just talk to ourselves. I mean, look, I'm not going to see a Green candidate on mainstream media, a Green or a Libertarian.
Well, it depends on what you define as
Like any
mainstream media. Our chair went on C-SPAN a few years
That's
ago.
not mainstream.
The last time I saw a mainstream third-party candidate was, I think, the 2016 election with Jill Stein and Gary Johnson.
Right,
Like
and that was a weird election because nobody liked the two candidates
yeah.
that were going to be at the top of our ballot.
Yeah, but we certainly, Gary Johnson or Jill Stein were not viable candidates.
Oh no, I fully agree. Though
I was
wasn't-
joking.
Gary Johnson though was a governor, right?
Yeah.
Gary Johnson has some very, very, very questionable views. I remember seeing that even as a high schooler. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, it was like you're taking what Republicans did. Like, I was a Democrat in high school too, and like you take what I disagreed with Republicans and you just made it more cartoonish, and that was Gary Johnson's platform. And I was like, well, I don't know if you completely agree with Gary Johnson's platform, but there
No.
are certain things on there that maybe seriously
No.
question.
Like the
why
driver's
they're
license
so
thing. That's-
Yeah, I remember he got booed out because of that.
mhm.
He was like booed off the debate. He still got the nomination,
Yeah,
but that just made me laugh. 'Cause I saw a clip about it years later.
yeah.
For the minority rights thing, though, I think if you take the party name away from the front of whatever act or legislation you're trying to pass, and you just put that in plain writing for people to read, I think they're gonna vote more according to what they actually think is right, rather than what they think is agreeing with their party.
Right.
So when you have that on a ballot,
Absolutely.
I think that's a really good way to get past the bipartisan issue and just send it directly to people where they don't have to go, well, who did this?
And that's exactly what I was,
I think
Yeah.
in Oklahoma, they're
hold that thought. We got to go to part 2 here.